You're acting like a toddler, Rick. You are making an enemy out of me.
It's not what I intended.
Parker, man.
Yeah, I'm going out mining on my own. I've got an opportunity, and I'm going to take it.
Jeez.
The cast of Gold Rush are old associates all these years later with a lot of shared history together. However, from among the stars of the show, none have as long a history and friendship as Parker Schnabel and Rick Ness. So, when things got difficult for Rick Ness recently, he knew exactly who to turn to for help.
But it's not, it's not the answer for the season. I need something I can rely on. So I'm going to see Parker right now. I heard he just bought a whole nother mine. It's been a few years. I really don't know what to expect here.
None other than his old boss and good friend, gold mining wunderkind, Parker Schnabel. Team Ness is hard at work, but it becomes apparent that Rick requires more crew members if he wants to hit all of his goals for the season. No one else is coming in, adding a lot of pressure to Morgan Lauren, a new member of the team. Another issue that is adding to the pressure is the shabby state of the equipment. Morgan points out that the work would be completed much faster if they were able to bring in some newer equipment. While she concedes that the old rented loader does run and gets the task done, she hesitates to call it efficient or even fully functional. As she explains the issues with the loader, she reveals that it's missing its front cab. This means that she has been eating a ton of dirt, and the massive, powerful tires have been kicking up a storm of sand and dirt into her face the whole time. This issue sounds mostly humorous until one imagines the danger of consuming that much dirt, not to mention the damage caused to the loader by having a ton of dirt getting into the cab and the controls. As Rick and Morgan work, they make a greater dent in the pile of dirt. However, even with their speed and dedication, soon something goes wrong. Morgan exits her loader in concern and notices that something is very wrong with her vehicle. She quickly exits the loader and hurries over to the loader's side, observing that the machine is leaning over in a very precarious manner. After a quick look, she determines that the leaning is being caused by a flat tire. She pulls out her walkie-talkie and contacts Rick, informing him of her need to shut down the plant because of her loader's flat tire. Rick quickly goes over to the wash plant and stops all activity.
Rick brought down the 750 for me, and we flew the 330 up there to do tailings. As long as we can keep this gold rolling up to the plant, that's the only thing that matters.
This is to save money and energy from a machine that can cost him a ton of money if it is not actively separating gold from dirt at all times. Rick is upset and decides that he needs to do whatever it takes to remedy this problem. Finding a replacement loader or a new tire is his first thought. He drives away in his truck, musing over where he has an old loader stored for such an occasion. However, after some consideration, he decides that the loader he has is not going to be the answer to this current problem, since he needs something he can rely on, not to break down. This is where Rick explains that he heard his old boss, Parker Schnabel, just bought an entirely new mine and it came with a ton of equipment with it. The hope Rick has is that the equipment will have a spare motor somewhere that he can use. While he is hopeful that Parker will be able to solve his problem, he is nervous to speak to him as it has been a couple of years since they had any real conversation.
How you been, bud?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. So you're back.
I'm back.
How are you feeling?
I feel great.
Good.
Yeah.
Rick doesn't know what to expect, but thinks that they'll be able to make a deal. Parker and Rick have a history as deep as any mining operation, having met when Parker hired Rick when he was 17 years old and just starting his career in the gold mining industry. At the time, Parker wasn't the big shot buying multiple million-dollar mines. He had just a small gold claim to his name. However, these early days are critical to the man he would become, and Rick was a crucial component to his success. Rick and Parker worked together and created a deep bond as they rose in experience and achievement those first few years. Rick Ness eventually became Parker's foreman, but not everything was smooth sailing. When their relationship started to get rocky, they said things to each other they couldn't take back. This was a huge turning point for Rick Ness, because he decided that what he really wanted was to strike out on his own. Rick informed Parker that he had received a great opportunity to be his own boss, and he was going to take it, quitting his position as foreman for Parker's crew. It was a difficult parting, and since then, they haven't spoken face to face until today. Rick expresses his excitement to see his old friend again and hopes that Parker will feel the same.
Can you believe that?
How much does that weigh?
That one is 1.54 ounces.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. Wow.
There is also the issue of Rick's break from gold mining last year, which he is sure Parker already knows about. He wonders if those rumors will change the reception he gets from his old boss. Parker comes down from his loader and immediately makes a joke as he greets Rick. Rick picks up the joke and they share a big laugh, breaking the tension immediately. It feels as though no time has passed at all as they hug. Parker
jobs that are needed to not only find gold specks, but also fill pockets with coins. Now let's take a look at some of Parker's thrilling finds. Parker, 27, says he mined nearly 7,000 ounces of gold worth $12.8 million with days left in his season. He advised putting as much gold in the box as quickly as possible and making as much money as possible to fund a second procedure next year. Prior to the Yukon winter freezing them out, Parker needed to collect nearly 350 ounces of gold to beat his record. Parker relied on factory manager Tyson Lee and top technician and informant Mitch Blaschke. He confirmed they spent more than last year. He had spent $5.4 million going to the bottom of Mud Mountain and hadn't broken even, but he was on a roll. If enough were there, Parker claimed he could win big. Parker noted that the remaining drilling was the best, therefore there remained optimism. Mitch and operator Damon Brown were ready to remove the last gold-rich pay dirt. Mitch stated they have to deliver the last road payment to Big Red and draw the dewatering pump to finish Mud Mountain Cut. Considering their inventory before they started, Damon said Mud Mountain had one hopper. Mitch praised Damon's work and advised shutting down the factory. Mitch whooped with joy when they shut down Big Red at Mud Mountain for the last time. Mitch stated they would know the gold totals once Chris completed the final cleanup and see how much they could obtain. Parker told his team hours after the sluices stopped that they would get little gold in a season with many bills. Parker inquired what they wanted to do to solve it. Parker sought another rapid score before winter, still short of last year's 7,500-ounce total. Parker reminded them that when Mitch tore up the road at the airfield in Zone 3, they still felt the land below was fine. There was still possibility. Mitch's risk to mine ground under a road at the airfield for 281.50 ounces paid off earlier in the season. Parker said he will relocate a wash plant to that part of road near the river to start setting things up. Mitch could start that and prepare his staff, right? Mitch agreed they could. Parker quipped that he would clean gold again since there was a lot. Parker's 5M gold haul. Nona, a crew member, accidentally ruined a Big Red pipeline. The system suffered considerable damage. Nona called for aid. The dozer had snagged and torn the pipeline in half, releasing everything from the wash facility. It split the pipeline in two and also destroyed the wash plant manifold. As bypass, this provided plant water to the pre-wash. This was considered the worst possible situation at the time. She was gone when it took this pipe off. A 90-degree manifold linked the pump pipeline to the plant. A 90-degree manifold connecting the bypass and wash plant water supply was damaged. Mitch had to disconnect the bypass that controlled water flow, strip the manifold hoses, and reattach them to the plant. This crude repair may increase water pressure and flush gold from the sluice. After cutting off the damaged portion, they fused the pipe back together.